and welcome to the Movie Pits Weekend Movie Review. I wanted to post this up on Friday, but at that time I hadn't got a chance to see Watchmen yet. Saw it on Saturday night, and Sunday I just didn't get around to putting it up, but it is here today. And so let's just start off for those of you who don't know what this movie's about. It's more or less about a group of masked heroes who were sent into retirement, are basically forced to reunite after one of their own is killed. And what they unfold is more or less a conspiracy that may or may not change the history of the world forever. And that is, as weird as it may sound with how long this movie is, that is pretty much the main premise of the movie. And I have to say, with all the anticipation this movie's had from the comic book fans over the years and the recent lawsuits between Fox and Warner Brothers, this film really did not disappoint at all. Let's just get right, because normally I'm one that is a big stickler on not liking CG effects in movies now, because it's always overdone and poorly done. But with a movie like this, it's really come to be expected, and I don't see how they could have done this movie really without a lot of over-the-top CG. So I'm not really going to complain about it, because it did add a lot to this movie. The filmmakers made a really good choice on actors for this film. The casting, I think, was dead on to what it is in the book. Like the mindset of the characters, the way the characters look for the most part. The only downside on it, I think in the comic book, the Night Owl character is described and looks a little older than the guy they got to play in the movie, but that's really to be expected. As far as like comic book movies go, this has to be one of the best next to The Dark Knight that I've seen. But this is probably the most accurate comic book movie I've seen in a long time, if not ever. Like I said, the movie pretty much takes place in the entire sequence of the movie. They don't change things or nothing like that for the most part. And it's dead accurate, down to the dialogue, down to the positioning of the camera for framing of shots. And if you're a fan of the comic book, you're going to love this movie, and what more could you really ask for at that point? Now, my own experience with going to go see this movie, a lot of people don't realize how adult-oriented this movie and book actually is. People don't expect it to be as graphic as it is. There's a lot of reference to sex, and there's sex scenes in the movie. So just because it's rated R for a reason, so just because it's a comic book movie, you shouldn't necessarily take kids to see it unless you're very lenient on that. But I think it's a great movie for everyone to see. The man that directed this film was Zack Snyder, who actually previously did Frank Miller's 300. And 300 was a great movie, but I think this movie really kicks the shit out of that one. And 300, granted, like all the fight scenes, if he hadn't used the slow motion, would have been very short, but I think he overused the slow motion in that movie. In this movie, there's a lot of slow motion, but it's not like entire sequences. It's portions of sequences just to add more comic book and dramatic effect to everything. And with this movie, for me personally, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. I think the best character in the movie and the book itself is Rorschach. And for those of you who don't know, it's the guy with the mask that looks like a Rorschach test. And I just love the character. The guy that got to play him is fucking phenomenal. And he really brings to life the Rorschach that people have grown to love from the comic books over 20 years. And I just think it was really a faithful performance on how Rorschach would be if in the books you could actually hear his tone of voice, his actions, his physical movements and stuff like that. I just thought it was great. In closing, this movie's really hard to explain. All I know is that I like it, and there's a lot of people out there that like it. It came at #1 over the weekend. Didn't pull in as much money as I thought it was. I think it just pulled in about $55.7 million. But hopefully more people go out and see this movie, because it's a fantastic movie. If you can sit through close to a 3-hour movie. But it's well worth it. Well worth the $10 to see it, or $5 if you go before noon. And I just think everyone should go out and see this movie. So thank you for watching this week's weekend movie review. And like I said, I wanted to get it done earlier, but since today is Monday, my normal day for doing like the Blu-ray and DVD rundowns, I will have a installment of the Blu-ray and DVD rundown today. It may be a little bit later, but it will be up today. So check back for that.